I tell people right now I'm successful, but I have been a 6-time failure. Who you buy the furniture from is the biggest difference maker, because there's a good chance that you're going to have some sort of an issue, right? Like it's not going to sit quite right, or if it's a reclining furniture, the mechanism is going to bend or break, usually through improper use, but it's still under warranty. What I want people to understand is that they can trust us as the store where you can go and buy furniture that is not as expensive and still get service if you have an issue.
Hey, welcome back to the Spotlight. My name's Tim Branyan. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Austin Walls, and we're in Vision Studio. So as always, shout out to Vision Studio for helping us make this easy. We come in, we have the conversation, they post it, distribute it, edit it. So it's just super thankful that this is here in our backyard. Some exciting news is we have our first sponsor. So we'll reveal that maybe in the next episode. But just excited about where the show's going and who we get to meet. And today we get to meet Austin Walls. So Austin, welcome to the show. Thanks for making the trip out here. Yeah. Just tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name's Austin Walls. I own Walls Furniture and Mattress with my wife, Laura. We sell furniture and mattresses here in Kokomo, and we've been here since 2019. We've lived here for like the last 4 years, so fairly new to Kokomo still, but we love the community for sure.
Yeah, and I actually my wife bought.
Yes.
I think chairs.
Yeah.
Who knows what else?
Yeah, swivel chairs.
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah.
I read in them. I relax in them.
That's awesome.
My kids flip over them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the kid things.
They're almost like gymnastic furniture at this point.
Well, they spin, so that makes them real
They
fun.
definitely do that too.
Yeah.
They get them going.
Yeah.
So what is Walls Furniture and how did it all sort of begin?
So we're a family-owned store. First and foremost, I think that's important, in a world of chain stores, right. Family-owned store with family values. I think, again, makes a huge difference in terms of your shopping experience. So we have been around since 1996. Wow. So not here in Kokomo, obviously, but my parents got into the business in 96 when I was 16 years old. And I have worked in the business from that point until now, always, except for 1 year. I did take a 1-year sabbatical, and I worked for another furniture store for a year. So,
what was it like growing up around? You're 16 years old. What was it like just growing up around the furniture?
Well, so I had experience with furniture stores before that. I had an aunt and uncle in Bloomington, Indiana, that actually had a furniture store from the early 80s.
And so it's deep into the wall.
So we would go down there and hang out. We went there a lot. My mom's sister, they were very, very close. So we spent a lot of weekends down there. I spent weeks at a time in the summer down there with my cousin, who was a couple years older than me. So I had a lot of experience being around the furniture store, even there in Bloomington. But my dad actually worked for the newspaper department in Muncie. Worked for Muncie Newspapers, which was part of Polium Company, which is a huge newspaper company. And he would travel all over the country learning computer systems. So he did computer systems. He did that for a long time. But he had some health issues in like 1994-ish, and decided that he wasn't going to do that job anymore. It was too much stress. He's basically on call like 24 hours a day. If systems went down, he had to go check them out. So my uncle convinced him, who had the furniture store in Bloomington, convinced my dad to cash out his 401k and start a furniture store. So
I would have loved to be a fly on the wall in that conversation.
So that whole experience was wild. It started when I was 15. We didn't open until like a year later.
Were you in proximity to that conversation, like as your
your
dad was sort of being...
Very much so. I mean, I said my dad had some health issues. My dad was in ICU for like a month when I was 14. So when he got released, he went back to work, and then shortly after just decided, I can't do this anymore. So so my uncle had been talking to him for a while. They did used furniture in Bloomington, and with IU down there, it was a huge market for that. My uncle was always telling my dad he had the same opportunity in Muncie because of Ball State.
Right.
So we did used furniture to begin. So I was in proximity to that conversation for sure. You know, when he told us what they were going to do. So we got a box truck. We got a small storage warehouse,
Yeah.
and we started going out and buying used furniture. So we started going to auctions at night, which was interesting. You know,
Did you
15,
store it in the box truck, or no? You had a
this is
small.
it gets even better. It gets even better. So we quickly filled the storage warehouse.
Yeah.
We had really no place to open up and start the store. He was searching for a location, but it wasn't easy, and the cost of the location obviously was very important, you know. So we quickly filled the storage warehouse, and there was in that same complex, there was no other storage places to put it. And it was about 1,000 square feet. It was a place where you would store RVs typically.
Okay.
So we started storing it in our house.
That's not a ton of space for
No.
storing.
So we started storing it in our house.
Wow.
So we started with the formal family room, and we packed it full of furniture. And then we went to the formal dining room, and we packed it full of furniture. Packed the garage full of furniture. I remember we had stuff stacked in the hallways. You kind of had to like turn sideways and slide through the hallways just to make it through. So we had the house full of furniture.
How old were you when you're like dodging furniture?
Yeah, I'm 15.
Yeah.
And I'm going to the auctions with my dad, and going to people's houses and picking up furniture that we're buying through ads in the newspaper when people are having yard sales.
What year was this again? Because there wasn't even like marketplace.
Yeah, 1995.
Yeah, no marketplace.
No,
so it was just what, like news?
Yeah, newspaper ads.
Wow.
And
so
we
you guys were just sitting there.
We had a newspaper ad in the newspaper, buying used furniture. And the auctions are great too, because the auctions, they're weeknights, and they start, around like 6-7 o'clock, but they'll run till midnight at an auction.
Jeez.
So I'm 15 years old with my dad, sitting at auctions
Cup
on a
of
Wednesday
coffee.
night in Indy, and then, as you're buying stuff, you're loading it onto the truck. So, there were several nights a week where you wouldn't get home until like 1 o'clock in the morning. So we bought a lot of furniture, and what ended up happening was at the end of the spot where we had the storage warehouse, there was another larger spot. It was about 2,000 square feet, and that opened up, and that was the summer of '96. So in the summer of '96, we moved all the furniture out of the house and kind of cleared out that warehouse space, threw open the big garage doors, hung a banner that said furniture sale, and started selling furniture.
Yeah. So that was out of Bloomington.
So that was here. That was in Muncie.
Okay, Muncie, yeah.
Yep, that was in Muncie. So we were in Yorktown, Indiana. We had one space at the end of the building, one space at the other end of the building, and we were selling used furniture. And
so like
I was delivering it.
At 15, you're in the midst of entrepreneurship, adapt and overcome.
Yeah.
Like your house is packed with furniture, don't even have a storefront yet.
Right.
What are some of the lessons that you just, that now as an adult, right, or being in the game as an entrepreneur now, what are some of the early lessons you picked up from dad and family that's just,
I mean,
hustling?
I saw them obviously like hustling, working hard, trying to figure things out. And work ethic was a big one. I think I had that to begin with anyways. I started when I was like, I think I was like 8 years old, and I wanted a pair of Jordans. And
I know what that feels like.
You know what that feels like, right? And my dad was like, I'm not going to pay $100 for a pair of shoes for you. Like, it's not going to happen. But if you want that pair of shoes, I can get you a job. So like, he worked for the newspaper office. So he said, I'll get you a paper route. So the paper route for our neighborhood actually was open. Somebody else was doing it, like filling in. So I got that job. I started passing papers like right about the time I turned 9, and I
Jeez.
did that till I was 14.
Yeah.
I ended up expanding and getting 2 routes. So, and I think I told you this. My bicycle at the time, my mom had one at an Osco Drugs. It was a Coca-Cola bike.
Okay. I thought you
So,
were going to say Dyno GT. You know
well,
how I
yeah,
feel about the
I
Dyno.
know, I know. So I had this Coca-Cola bike that I did my paper route with, and by the way, I did save up enough money to buy the Jordans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. And then I don't know that I ever spent that kind of money on a pair of shoes again
I
because
bet
I
you kept
outgrew
those
them.
boys
And
clean too.
well, I
You probably
outgrew
kept
them
them.
so quick, I barely got to wear them. But I did find something that was very worthwhile for my money, and that was a Dyno GT.
Yep.
So I saved up my money. I just couldn't be seen riding around this Coca-Cola bike with
No.
Coca-Cola written all over
Not
it,
on the
you know.
streets. Not out in
So
public, man.
no. So and I figured I'm going to pass these papers. I'm riding this bike every day, like. So I did get a Dyno GT that I still have to this day.
Oh, I
It
know
is
you have.
still in almost. It's not perfect condition, but it's in really good condition.
You and
So,
you and Ryan Rail. Ryan Rail's got a Dyno GT that I really like too.
yeah.
If he's listening to this thing. So backstory, we talked
Yeah.
about bikes. I was a Huffy kid. You know, I was a
Right.
Huffy, and then I got to Mongoose, but I capped out at Mongoose. So the dynos were expensive. I think they were
Yeah.
like $350. But I remember
Yeah.
walking into the Victory store downtown Kokomo, and just the smell of it was like my Ferrari
Tires,
shop.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like going in there and seeing all these bikes racked up, and then the one I loved the most was the mag rims, like that
Yep.
had GT on it,
Yep.
and then gyros. That was
I had
new
the
tech.
gyro.
That was alien technology.
Yeah, I
back
had
in,
the gyro. Yeah.
yeah. So I know, man.
Yeah.
So I had the
Pegs
Huffy,
on the front and
but
back.
now as an adult, I'm still looking for the GT. I want to just mount it and have it. I don't know if
Right.
I'd let my kids ride it, to be honest. So
I
I just had to mount it.
Mine was probably in perfect condition, aside from the tires. When I found it maybe like 8 years ago in the shed at my parents' house, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I completely forgot about this thing. So I had some work done to it. One of the brakes wasn't working, put new tires on it, and I gave it to my oldest son to ride.
Yeah.
And I think he did more damage to it in a year than I did in like 4 years.
Funny.
So
That's kind of like what you maybe are you guys still doing that now? Are you finding, even furniture and repairing it and getting it back into tip-top shape? Or is it
No.
mainly all new stuff
No,
now?
it's all new stuff now.
Okay.
At a certain point, we transitioned, probably around 2000 or 2001, we transitioned out of doing used furniture and
Mhm.
into entirely new furniture. And it's not that business isn't viable. I every once in a while I have this wild idea that I think like, man, I should get back into used furniture,
Yeah.
But there is a difference now between used furniture now and used furniture then, and that is just like my kid tearing up my bike. Furniture now I feel like takes a bigger beating than it ever has. We would pick up stuff, that looked like it had never been sat on.
Mm.
So you hardly have to do anything to it. Just maybe give it a cleaning, maybe you might have to repair a spring or something, but nothing hard. And now the furniture that we carry out to the curb when we deliver new furniture in, I mean, the guys will send me pictures of some of this stuff. It's just, there's no way. There's no way. So it would be difficult
Right.
to find the quality of stuff that you would need to find on a regular basis. I think if you were in that business today, you'd have a lot of period of time where your inventory wouldn't be as good because you're just struggling to find stuff that's good enough to resell.
Mm. See, and as I'm thinking about like the technology that is furniture, it kind of goes unthought about, at least for me. Like there's springs in this things, there's screws in this things. Now they've got electronics, right?
Yeah,
And like
right.
massage chairs and all
Yes.
this radical technology. So my question is, what do people not know about the furniture business now? What are some things that just go unnoticed or just right?
I mean, I say so. When people come in, first of all, we are a very affordable furniture store. We're very focused on affordability,
Right.
and so that's like first and foremost the thing that I'm mindful of every time I look at a line, every time I look at a product. I want to make sure, is it going to be affordable? And then I start to look at, okay, what are the features and benefits of this too? Is it going to be durable? Is it going to last? Is it something that I can sell? And then if if the customers have issues with it, it's something that I can service and make right. Right.
Is it
So
something Tim's kids can do cartwheels
that's
on
right.
and swivel around at
Yeah.
Mach 1000?
Yeah,
And
you're thinking about all these
yes, it
things,
is.
and at the same time with affordability, and that's what I would say about the furniture industry. That's kind of wild. Great example of this. Before we got into the furniture industry, my parents bought a sofa and love seat from a furniture store in Muncie. It was laying, it was reclining. I think they paid about $1,600 for the sofa and the love seat. It wasn't power, didn't have any special features or anything like that, not like we have today. But about $1,600 for the sofa and the love seat in 1994. If you walk into my furniture store today, you will find basic reclining sofas and love seats in that price range or less, which is wild. So I think we are, while we are at a major purchase, because buying furniture is expensive. Anytime you go out and you outlay $1,000 or $2,000 at a time, it's a big decision. It's a big purchase, right? But in the scheme of things, we get lumped in with cars. We get
Right.
lumped in with other higher priced goods. And I think as an industry, we are one of the few where prices really have kind of stayed the
Maintained.
same.
Yeah.
And so the reason for that, obviously, importing has a lot to do with it. With the tariffs here recently, I would say we are probably the most exposed industry in the U.S. to the tariffs. But what it's afforded our industry, the ability to make innovations in the furniture so that it isn't twice as expensive as it was 20 years ago. It's still similarly priced, but it has more features or maybe more benefits.
Right.
There are things that I'm amazed that, we can sell, a couch, again, it's, reclining, zero gravity, leather, heat and massage, LED lights,
Yeah.
the
Tech.
cup holders with, heating and cooled, or just things like that. And then you can sell that couch for like $2,000.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That shouldn't be the case. The thing should be $5,000, but it's
Sure.
not, because our industry has, I think, more than any other industry, invested in technologies, manufacturing, ways to make the product still durable, but less expensive. I think we're one of the few industries that's actually done that. I think most industries, the prices just get higher and higher and higher and higher. Ours has not been that way.
I swear, man, all my buddies that are in furniture, there's you, there's Ken, there's a couple others you guys don't know. You guys are innovative and you're hard workers, and it's just fun, interesting. You guys make things happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's the demand of the industry. It sounds like, right? Like finding the best quality products at a low price to fight against tariffs, right? It's always adapt and overcome. It sounds like that's kind of been your story since you were 15 too.
That's it. It's always adapt and overcome. I think it's the thing that my wife hates the most about it, because she comes from a family of engineers and nurses. So,
Steady.
everything's steady. So from her standpoint, everything we do is chaos.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's, you gotta, it's kind of like a constant trial by fire.
So what, I understand what I need to go through before I go buy a car, right? I need to understand maybe a color. I need to know what I'm going to use it for, right? Like I have a baseline understanding.
Yeah.
I have no clue what I should know or what I should avoid before I show up to buy furniture. My wife probably does. I don't.
Right.
So if there's other people like me, what's the top 5 things or more, right, that you should be thinking about before you even walk into a store?
I mean, I would say the very first thing that I would ever do for shopping for furniture would be to measure my space and to try to understand the function that I need it to do. So, Am I watching TV? Am I sitting? Is this an area where, people are just kind of lounging and laying around? Am I wanting something supportive or something really soft and comfortable? So I would think measuring the space and understanding the function of the furniture first.
Yeah.
What do you want it to do, and is it going to fit? And then outside of that, I think the single most important thing about buying furniture isn't who makes the furniture. It's not the name brand. It's not even the warranty that it comes with, because warranties aren't serviced by the manufacturer. They're just written by the manufacturer. They're actually serviced by the store and who you buy it from. In any case, even if you buy an extended warranty, whatever the manufacturer's warranty covers is still serviced by the store. Extended warranty just picks up what a manufacturer's warranty doesn't cover. So even in the circumstance of buying an extended warranty, it's very important to know who you're buying your furniture from. And I think that's the most important thing. I would tell anybody, I don't care if you're buying name brand or non-name brand, who you buy the furniture from is the biggest difference maker, because there's a good chance that you're going to have some sort of an issue, right? Like it's not going to sit quite right, or if it's a reclining furniture, the mechanism is going to bend or break, usually through improper use, but it's still under warranty, right?
Yeah.
And so if you buy from somebody who doesn't care, then that's what you're going to get. Yeah, you're going to get the runaround. They're not going to work hard to try to take care of it. So, and that's the one thing. I mean, of all the jobs that I've done in the furniture store, from 15, starting and buying used furniture to now, the thing that I have done the most is repair. I've always done my own service work. I learned early how to sew. I learned how mechanisms work, how to replace them, how to fix things that were broken, how to cover up nicks and scratches, things like that. So you kind of learn that early in this, and I've just kept it. That's something that I don't farm out to anybody, because I don't trust anybody to do it the way that I would do it.
Yeah.
So service work, I think, is very, very important in our industry. And as margins have shrunk, it's something that a lot of stores don't do very well.
How do you teach your team to care?
So our team, first of all, there's not a lot of turnover. We don't run through employees. They stay with me. We've got people at the store that are there 3 years, 5 years, 6 years. They stay with me. I like to think a lot of that is the way that I treat them, with respect and dignity, and listening to what they have to say, so that they know their opinion matters, right? Ultimately it's my business, so I'm going to make the final decision. But I'm still going to take into consideration what they think and what they have to say. So I think that it's like an osmosis kind of thing, man. Like, what starts at the top works its way down to the bottom in terms of how they respond and how they care. It's just through my leadership and the way that they interact with me, they understand that I care. And so I think that makes a difference. If I didn't care, I think they wouldn't either.
Right.
So. Yeah.
So it's imitation almost. It's like imitated empathy and care through top down.
Yeah. There's concepts and things that we talk about, like our neighbors are our family, right? Like they're more than just neighbors. And, there's concepts like, how would I want to be treated in this situation?
Right.
Thinking about that, putting myself in somebody else's shoes instead of just looking at it from my perspective. How would I feel if I was in their position? And so addressing a situation based on that principle, as opposed to just what makes the most sense for the bottom line, for example. So
what's been the most rewarding moment or moments like over the years?
I'm always happy when I hear somebody come in and say like, oh, that chair that we picked out for, my mother, she needed it. She was having surgery, that chair was fantastic. She loved it. Those kind of stories are always great. Um, Also, employees. So we don't have a ton of turnover, but every once in a while somebody leaves us. And a few times over the years, it's been somebody that's been with me for 3 or 4 years. Usually, it's the young guys. The delivery guys are always my favorite in this circumstance. They'll come in 21, 22 years old, chip on their shoulder, angry at the world. Nothing is ever anybody's, nothing is ever their fault. It's always somebody else's, right? They're trying to navigate how to make it through life. And I interact with them a lot. I always have. I jump on the truck. I do deliveries with them. I help them load the truck. I help them unload trucks. We have conversations about their life and how things are going. It is always very rewarding to me to see them achieve success after they leave. And to have conversations with them and to hear them say things like, hey man, like, thank you for giving me the space to grow. Like, thanks for listening to me, that kind of thing is always important to me. I feel like making a difference in their life so that they can go on. Cause I tell again, with the delivery guys, I tell them when they hire in, like, I don't expect you to be a delivery guy for the rest of your life.
Right.
Like, I expect you to want to do something more with your life than this. If this is all you ever want to do, then I'm going to help you be the best that you can be. And, I'll appreciate the loyalty for sure. But, I'm sure there's more that you want to do in life than this. And I'm going to try to help you get that. And the main way I can do that is by pouring into them and trying to help them understand how to navigate all the difficulties that life throws at you in the workplace, at home, wherever that is. In those circumstances, I kind of get to be like a therapist in some way.
Coach.
A coach, a mentor. That's rewarding for sure.
That's awesome, man. Didn't even expect. I mean, that's just that dynamic. It's awesome.
Yeah.
If someone walks into Walls Furniture for the first time, what do you hope they experience as a first-time walker?
So furniture, they say buying furniture, they say the only thing worse is buying a used car. If that gives you any kind of, idea of what kind of fear that people might have when they're shopping for furniture. Because again, it is probably more money than they've spent on a lot of other things, right? All at once, and they need it to serve all of the features and functions that they need it to serve, and they need it to do that and last. They can't afford to just spend that money every single year replacing if it doesn't work. So it's a little daunting, I would say, in that regard. And they've been online looking a lot of times, but they're a little scared to pull the trigger online because they don't know, is it going to be the quality that I want? Is it going to fit the space the way that I want it to? So they'll go into the furniture store and they'll kind of be real standoffish, don't bother me, don't talk to me. I know what I'm looking for. So what I want them to feel is a relaxed and calm space where they can come in and they can do that. They can look at us and say, don't talk to us. And we'll say, okay, that's fine. Look around,
enjoy,
make yourself comfortable. Yeah. Try it out, kick your feet up, whatever you got to do. If you need help, I'm here to help you. I don't want them, I want them to feel literally zero pressure.
Yeah.
The space to make decisions, and I want them to understand that that's what we're there for. I've one salesperson in the store that does a really, really good job at this, and I've tried to get him to put on his business cards instead of just his name. I've tried to get him to put on his business cards the Furniture Sherpa. Right?
It's a shepherd.
Because he's a guide.
Sure.
He's not a salesman.
Yep.
He's a guide. And his job is to listen.
Yeah.
And to help you navigate.
Yep.
To figure out what the problem is and figure out what the solution is, present those solutions to you, give you all the information,
Yeah.
So then you can make the decision for yourself, right?
Yep.
And that it's a funny concept, but I would say it is why so many people don't like furniture shopping, is because they are so used to having a salesperson kind of shove it down their throat, so to speak, like this is what you need, this is what you want,
Right.
versus a space where literally we're there to help,
Right.
guide you, we're there to answer questions, we're there to give you all the tools that you need to make the best decision that you can make.
Huge difference between convincing and connecting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Savage sales guys just are there to convince and manipulate or shift somebody into something that benefits them directly. It's a very selfish approach. Versus a connector, right, or a Sherpa, which I love that analogy, is there to connect someone. But in order to connect somebody, you have to know what their outlet's shaped like. You have to understand what sort of power they need, right? You got to understand who they are, where they're at, where they want to go.
Oh, yeah.
And then what's funny is those guys who aren't necessarily focused on the bottom dollar as much as they are being of help make significantly more than just the folks that are there to convince.
Yeah.
But you couldn't convince them of that if they're still stuck in like that.
No, there is a weird thing that happens when it comes to money, when you dissociate the power that it holds over you, right? To making decisions not based solely on that,
right?
But based on maybe just what's in your best interest or what's in maybe somebody else's best interest.
Yeah.
Definitely makes a difference. And you're right. He is our top salesman always by a large amount.
Sure. And that's not easy for me to wrap my head around. Of course it is, right? It's just, that's obvious.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to the show all across the world now, especially now that we're distributing on Amazon and iHeart and on Spotify, all these places. What advice would you give someone who wants to start a small business or a small family business?
I mean, the first bit of advice that I would give somebody is to really, make sure that you're ready for the struggle, right?
Yeah, talk about that.
You may hit it big, and you may hit it big quick, and it may be just the best experience you've ever had, and you'll wish you would have done it sooner.
Yeah.
But the odds are not in your favor, right? I am having success at this store, doing well at this store by all the markers that I would mark success, and those aren't just monetary, right? Sure. But I am on, let's see here. This is store number 6 for me, right? So I tell people right now I'm successful, but I have been a 6-time failure.
Yeah.
Right. And when I say I've failed, I have failed as hard as you can fail. Right. Like I've failed to the point where I've lost, things. It's it's brutal to be in that situation. So you have to be ready for that. When I went to Ball State and I did the entrepreneurship program there, it was started by a wonderful man named Dr. Karatko. We called him Dr. K. He was from Chicago. His family had funeral home business. He started this program at Ball State, which at the time I went there was ranked like 3rd in U.S. News and World Report for entrepreneurship. So fantastic program. And he now runs some big programs at the Kelley School of Business for IU. Very, very smart guy.
Let's get this guy on the show.
Yeah, I need to get
Dr.
him on
K,
here. Right?
Where you at?
Oh yeah, he's a dynamo. When it comes to entrepreneurship. But his concept was, he called it spine sweat. Spine sweat. And when you would graduate as a senior, you would get this little vial with water and it said spine sweat on it, right? His theory was that anybody can be an entrepreneur. As long as they have no fear of failure, right? Like failure is probably inevitable, right? So if you have no fear of failure, then you have no barrier to succeed. And so he would try to teach this in his class. Our final semester was pass fail. So you either graduate or you don't. So you spend 4 years working towards your graduation. You get to that last semester, and the whole course, the capstone of the course, is pass fail. And there were kids that did not graduate.
Oof.
You know, they had to call their parents that week, you know, like the week before graduation, and say, I'm not graduate, I'm not walking. All right. And you got to come back, wait a year, and come back and do it again. So, you know, I would say you have to understand what you're getting into. You have to be ready for struggle, right? You have to be ready for failure. And you have to wrap your head around what that looks like. If I fail monetarily, am I still going to have the support of my family? Am I still going to have, you know, am I going to be able to keep a roof over my head? Like, there are a lot of things that come into that you have to think about. But that would be my biggest thing. You have to be unafraid of failure. You have to be able to take it all on head on.
Right.
And, you know, just be resilient, continue to work hard, continue to innovate and hustle. That's the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah,
it is.
And I love that. And it's going from failure to failure enthusiastically with the intent to improve.
Right.
Right. And like, it's a necessity. There is no way that you just have it all figured out from start to finish, no matter what you do. I mean, you got kids that are playing basketball. They didn't start, like your son's a really good basketball player, right? He didn't start that way. He had gifts and talents, but, you know, he's worked through, right?
Yeah. Adversity. Sports is a great example. I would tell my two oldest that are in sports, that's the biggest takeaway for me from sports, you know, is the resiliency to push through failure.
You played basketball?
I mean, so I tell them all the time, I played a lot of sports, and I was not good at any of them. But I tried. I gave it everything I had. Right. I gave it my all, and which you know, at times they think I probably a little too hard on them, but you know, they have way more ability than I ever had. And so if I ever see them like taking a break or like loafing it, it just drives me insane.
Yeah, it means a lot to you because you see where they could be with their natural talent.
And I want them to understand that, like, you know, that edge is how you keep succeeding over and over and over again,
right?
By keeping that edge, not giving it up, right? Not becoming comfortable, you know, with just, you know, whatever you've achieved, you know, constantly trying to get better, trying to work on it. And for me at this point, like, that's internally more than it is anything else, right? Like working on myself as a person more than anything else. Like I've achieved, you know, monetary things. So if I can keep those things going, like, the next thing to work on is me as a person.
That's me too, man. I've nothing like having kids to make you really introspective.
Oh yeah.
You know, for the folks that are listening to this that have children, I mean, they're going to show you your flaws, like, mirrored to you.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's lack of patience, which that's my personal one, right? I see Caden that gets real frustrated with stuff, and I go, man, how do I teach him how to not get frustrated when I'm the guy that gets real frustrated if something doesn't work out a certain way? So it just forces this mirror approach, and
it does.
And I invest in books and you know, strategy to improve. And you know, I wish for everybody that they choose growth, and they choose to not be stuck right in their own troubles or their own obstacles and things. They realize that, hey, you're not alone in this. You're not rare.
Right.
The fact that you're going through this turmoil, it's just you can choose to download new information and change your proximity, uproot maybe to get around different folks. You're not a tree, right? You're not stuck, and just develop a philosophy of self-development. And then I think really realize that, like, that is the best gift that you can give to anyone, is your own personal development. When you really think about it, it's like, all these people that haven't met you yet or have met you yet, if you're investing in inner work, right?
Right.
Like, the outer effect of that it's hard to quantify the ripples. So it's like, you know, that's why I love our friendship and the friendship with the guys, like, in our charity groups and just having that counsel, if you will, because it
Mm-hmm.
makes it sharpens me,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
I 100% agree.
yeah,
You definitely there were times in my life where I thought I was doing the best that I could, and I would fail.
mm,
And some of the realizations that I came to, it wasn't that I wasn't intelligent.
right,
It wasn't that I wasn't a hard worker. Some of the realization was that I was not the best person that I could be,
mm,
and some of my failures were because of that,
yeah,
that I couldn't get out of my own way, or I didn't know how to release some of the anxiety that was
yep,
causing me to make bad decisions, like doubling down when I should have been cutting and running,
right,
like that kind of thing,
yep,
like some of the lessons that I've learned from failure
mm-hmm.
is that, like, being the best that I can be helps not only myself but other people around me.
Well, man, it's apparent too. You talk about your delivery guys, and it's no wonder you're able to help them get unstuck. It's because you were there, right?
Right.
You understand what they're going through, and you're
Yeah.
acting almost like a Sherpa,
Right.
like as they're delivering, and you're getting hands on with some of the work and being in proximity, and
And
that's
having hard
motivating.
conversations.
Oh yeah,
Having hard conversations. I mean, not shying away from confrontation. Like, I mean, some of the conversations that we have in that warehouse are not pleasant.
there's raw.
Yeah, they're raw, and I've learned how to have those raw conversations without making them feel like I'm putting them down, or that
Mm-hmm.
I'm, or at least that's my goal. And usually at the end, when we walk away with a better understanding,
Mm-hmm.
and we hug it out, like we talk about, like, I learned this: arguing, most people don't argue fair.
Mm,
When you have an argument with somebody, most of the time you're thinking in your head what you're going to say next to win the argument,
mm,
right? So your goal is to win,
right.
that to decimate your opponent, so that they walk away feeling just stupid and like they know nothing and you know everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, that's not the way that it should be. If you're having an argument, if you're having a discussion about something where you don't agree, you have to listen,
Mm,
right? So I learned that arguments have to be fair. You have to argue fair. And so I have to listen. Whatever you're saying, whatever you've got going on, the problems that you have are very real to you, and they matter very much to you,
mm,
right? And so I'm going to validate that by listening. And whatever you're telling me, I'm going to listen. And then once you say it to me, I'm going to say it back to you. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want you to tell me if I heard you right.
mm-hmm.
Did you, in fact, say what I heard? Because a lot of times we misinterpret. We don't understand. We hear something, we think we know what was said, but maybe somebody just didn't use the right words, it didn't come across the right way. So I'm going to say it back to you. I want to make sure I understand you before I address what you said, right? And this is how it goes, this back and forth. And you owe me the same thing. You're going to listen to what I have to say, and then I want you to give it back to me so that I can hear it, because we need to be clear with each other. We're going to get nowhere if you don't understand me and I don't understand you.
Right. That's
right?
fair.
So we have these conversations, and they can be contentious and they can be heated. But if we do it this way, by the time we get to the end, we've usually got some sort of an agreement. We've usually got some sort of a compromise. And we've avoided the thing that often happens where you hold on to some resentment,
Right.
you hold on to something that you didn't let go of, and there wasn't clarity. So that's something I've used in my marriage for years. It's something that I use with the people that work for me and work around me. Just something I've developed over the years that I feel like is very important to communication.
I'm noting that for my personal use, because as you're saying it, I'm thinking about, marriage and relationship with kids and coaching, right, that I do.
Right.
And immediately my first thought, and the work that I'm working on internally right now, is how do I, when things are charged, like I've got that emotional charge, my nervous system's fired up, stomach's tight, I'm in this sort of like fight mode.
Right.
How do I chill that out in order to operate this system that you're describing well? Because the thing I'm not good at is when I'm up here and I'm ready to fight
Right.
or win, which isn't the thing
Yep.
that I want to do realistically. Like, it's just when you get to that level, how do you
Right.
kind of zone back? And
Yeah.
but I'm working on that, man, and
It's not easy.
we can no, it's definitely, especially when it's like
It's not
something
easy.
really frustrating.
Yeah.
And,
It's
I
not
think
easy at all.
I think the more that I've learned and the more experiences I've had, and even the older I get, the more frustrated I can get at times with things that I think are small.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm sort of working on. How do I be gracious and empathetic despite how much I shove in this cranium or what experiences I think I have? How do I show up loving first? Yeah. And that's easy to forget.
Yeah.
Definitely in different moments.
Yeah. I mean, being good to yourself, loving yourself, like for who you are, makes a big difference there.
Even
too,
the
right?
person, even if I'm showing up and I'm fired up, I still need to love that person that I'm on the other side of a conflict with more than I'm involved with my own like turmoil.
I think, so I think to that point, again, like doing the hard work, we talked about this earlier, like doing the hard work for you, right? The goal of that is to get to a point where you love yourself better.
Yeah.
Right. Not that you're tooting your own horn because of how great you are,
sure,
but like you love yourself, like you treat yourself well. Right. And if you do that, I think it's easier to also treat other people in the same manner.
All us guys need help doing that, bro. We're just tough, bro.
Right.
We put on a big shell. We don't do a lot of introspective work.
No.
A lot of times the whole, and I think it's the verbiage, right? You talk about mental health. All those guys are like, what?
Right.
Need that, right? Need to call it like mind gym, something a lot tougher than
gym
that.
for the mind.
Yeah.
There you
go. But so last question I have is, when people hear Walls Furniture, what do you hope comes to their mind?
Oh man. I think I said this earlier, too, like trust, right? Like, we are not the expensive high-end furniture store. We are the affordable store. We're the place that the vast majority of people can go, right? And I think, with the higher end stuff, when you're spending more, I think with some of those stores, it's easier for them to give maybe better service, after the fact, like, you're spending more money. Maybe the stuff is a little better made, or maybe the store's making better margins so they can afford to have, a full-time service team or whatever. But for those people that are buying in the middle or even the lower end of the market when it comes to the cost of the furniture, the margins where we operate are tighter, right? I would say I have to do 25% more business than my higher end competitors at the very least to make the same amount of gross profit, right? Because my margins are shorter. And so what I want people to understand is that they can trust us as the store where you can go and buy furniture that is not as expensive and still get service if you have an issue.
That's awesome.
Someplace that is going to care about you after we've made the sale. Because ultimately, advertising is expensive. It's hard to get people to keep coming back in. The best way to do that is to treat them well before, during, after, right?
Yeah.
Make sure that they understand that they do matter and that they are important, and they'll keep coming back. And so, we're the store that you can trust.
That's awesome, man. Well, where can people find you if they want to pull up? Like you said, they're in Howard County or surrounding area. Where do they go? Yeah,
so we're at 521 East Alto Road in Kokomo, Indiana, on the south side of Kokomo, right off of 931. People that are familiar with Starbucks or McDonald's will know right where we're at.
Starbucks, McDonald's, what's that?
Yeah, right. What are those things? So we're kind of right behind McDonald's there at the corner of Alto and 931. On the other side, opposite of us on 931, is Lowe's and Chipotle, so that kind of gives you an idea where we're at.
Yeah. Website, phone number?
Yeah, shop This is important because there is a furniture store in Muncie also called Walls Furniture,
Okay.
right? So you
Let's
could
do
go
the
to
right
their
one.
you could go to their website. Our website is shopwallsfurniture.com.
Okay.
I think this is important to note. To my knowledge, we are outside of the Ashley Home Store, which is a big national corporation. Their website is run by a national group, so they don't actually have their own website. They get the advantage of having this big, powerful company run their website for them. To my knowledge, we are the only local furniture store that you can buy on our website.
Nice.
We have all of our prices listed on there. We have integrations with some of our biggest vendors so that you can see the stock in their warehouse. So you can see if our vendor has it in stock.
Nice.
So you're not guessing about how long you're going to get it. And if our vendor has it in stock, just give us about 2 weeks or less, and we'll have it for you in the store. So if you don't want to walk into a furniture store, even though we won't hound you, you can also buy on our website.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here in Howard County. I'm glad
too.
that you're a small business here. I love that you're loving on people. And thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.